Hey, boy, I'm not in the middle, hi-fi. I always got to be in the middle.
That's the one thing I don't like about the new software is like when I have to take us off camera for the intro and stuff, it puts us back in weird orders.
All right, whatever. Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. I'm Heidi Kuda. I'm here with my friends Jim Stewartson and High Fidelity. We have 102 days, 5 hours, 58 minutes, and 0 seconds until the election in 2024 November. And we're going to be talking about battle plans, strategies, what everyone's plans are, and how we're going to win this thing. I'm really excited that we're going to be showing highlights from our recent interview with Dr. Charles Kriel, which was just phenomenal. Take 24 minutes, you guys, and watch that interview. We're also going to show some really, really key clips where we're going to talk about how the clown car that everybody watched last week was actually pulling a trailer of fascism behind it. And I just can't wait for everybody to hear some of the really great insights from Dr. Kriel, who's in the UK and can speak about Brexit and the recent election in Cambridge Analytica, which he's done movies about. Anyway, I'm stoked. How about you guys? What's up?
It's wild. It's wild.
I would just like to say that today I had my first really successful as a father moment because my 3 children all work together as a gang of hoodlums in Roblox to beat up other players and steal their stuff.
Oh, hi-fi. That's so heartwarming.
I'm so proud.
It is heartwarming.
Do you know how long I've been trying to get these kids to work together? And finally,
the American spirit is still alive. I love that.
Amen. Bunch of pirates.
Happy Father's Day, High Fidelity. So Jim, you've been super busy on the tweeters and ass deep in making memes and videos. And tell us what you got.
Well, I mean, yesterday was gross because it was Chris Wray and Benjamin Netanyahu all like it was like, oh, why is this like and but then like every single time Kamala does something like this, the thing gets bigger and more confident. But as a long time cynical fucking like Democrat, I haven't felt actually good about our chances in a really long time. So I think there's great news and news to worry about. The great news is this political battle has just completely flipped. Like, it's ours to lose. And watching Kamala's operation, I don't think she's going to lose this politically. I don't think that's like without any exogenous factors, as they say. It seems pretty clear that there is a big majority who would prefer her than whatever that fucking pile of Nazi Adderall remainder is left, right? Like, so that seems very clear. There's a counter reaction to that, right? And I'm seeing it already from these fucking people, Flynn and everybody else. It's full-blown panic. Trump picked Peter Thiel's mini-me, J.D. Vance, who has turned out, shockingly, to be a personality-free lump of weird, like, shit that nobody cares about or can figure out other than that he's completely full of shit, right? Every single person, including apparently everybody around Trump now, right? So we've got chaos inside their party. There's a lot of sincere and serious, ideas that they may replace Vance, which that's going to look great, right?
Do you think Peter Thiel will allow that to happen? Really?
That I don't know. There's a lot of factors, but we shall see. At some point, there has never been a negative bump for a vice presidential candidate in terms of popularity in the history of the United States of America, except for J.D. Vance. Because, again, he is a personality-free lump of programmable android clay that Peter Thiel has had electrodes in for like a decade and has concocted this thing, and nobody likes it. Nobody, literally nobody. So they have
the funny part.
Hold on. So they have a lot of chaos. We did that already once. We have a lot of chaos inside the party, and a lot of desperation because they see the other side. They see unity. They see confidence. They see Kamala had 150,000 people on Zoom, white ladies. It was Answer the Call 2024, white women, and 150,000 of them showed up, and they broke Zoom. They broke the record, and then they broke the app. So the train has left the station. I don't think that she's going to lose this political fight. The counteraction to that is that they're not going to stop. And it's very important to remember, 7 of the 8 last elections, the popular vote went to Democrats. And yet we're on the verge of oblivion, right? The 5 last Republican presidents were all put in there by cheating. 2020, 2016, the same fucking people who are doing it right now did it then. So the good news, bad news for me is, okay, excellent. It feels, as long as we don't do what Democrats always do and take our foot off the gas and worry about, next time or whatever, no fucking mercy. As long as we keep that attitude, the political race, I think, is going to be fine. Because, and this is important, Joe Biden gifted that to us. Joe Biden gifted us energy, confidence, hope, because he knew it was the best thing. I see America is honoring that, and it's good. But it means that people like Flynn and others are going to be far more desperate because they don't even have a chance at this political race anymore, or a very small one, in my view. And so the active measures, the psychological warfare, and the black swans and whatever other bullshit they do, they're complaining. The chances of that, I'm afraid, have increased. And thank you very much for that.
I got
vacuuming? What the hell was that?
I got some stuff to say. Thank you for that, Jim. High Fidelity. You got anything? I'd like to go. You want to smoke?
Well,
that
I just want people to understand something about J.D. Vance, because they're talking about hillbilly elegy in chat, which it's a terrible fucking book. It's awful. It's like basically the antithesis of John Steinbeck, who actually enjoyed the working class. But J.D. Vance is less popular in the Midwest, where he's from, than the rest of the country. And that should tell you something. When somebody is disliked in their hometown more than anywhere else in the country, that lets you know what kind of person that is. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. So what I wanted to say, thank you for that, is that it's a rare thing when the Democratic Party starts to show some fucking unity. And we have seen some unity in a way that we have not seen unity in some time. So I hope that that is something that continues through this election, because when the far right fascist creep is on the rise, then those who are pro-democracy and those on the left have got to show some goddamn unity. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm also grateful because my Substack had the biggest week since I launched it 18 months ago, because suddenly people know who Peter Thiel is. And that is a good thing. When the techno-fascists start to be smoked out of their, fluffer, larper, journalistic, imagined profiles, when they start to be smoked out and seen for who they really are and what they really do, that's actually a good thing. Awareness of who this man is a very good thing. Awareness of just how much of a deviant and how much of a problem Elon Musk is, that is a very, very good thing. And we can thank a lot of the work of independent reporters such as ourselves, people like Kriel Cadwallader, who coined broligarchs. It's very, very important that we also, as Jim said, keep the pedal to the metal on that. When people see what a cynical scheme Vance is, I've been calling him a replicant, a Peter Thiel replicant for, a year, 18 months. People finally understand what that means and why it is so fucking dangerous and where the Putinists align with the techno-fascists. And that is what we're really fighting. And I see a greater awareness of that this week.
You know what's amazing, Heidi, is not once through that entire thing did I go,
I'm still a piece of garbage.
I appreciate
waited till
you.
the end.
I appreciate you. High five.
I want to point out just how flexible JD Vance is. First of all, he's not a fucking hillbilly. His family was well off, and he went to fucking Yale. So, all of that is total fucking bullshit. And he's just taking advantage of the actual working class in order to pretend to be on their side. JD Vance, his most important moment, the moment that changed his life at Stanford more than any other was when Peter Thiel came to tell him all about this weird French philosopher who said that the human race is destined for apocalyptic violence. That's the whole point of this whole philosophy. So 10 years ago, JD Vance was, in his words, he had convinced himself he was gay. Somehow he convinced himself he's not gay now. Okay, that's pretty flexible. He was an atheist for all the way up until, I guess, at least 2016. And then suddenly converted to Catholicism. Very flexible feller, isn't he there, right? Was a huge fan of the environment. Still claimed to care a lot about it. I didn't give a shit about it. Peter Thiel said 3 weeks ago in Aspen that Make America Great Again is insulting. And so did Elon Musk, by the way. We are dealing with a small number of psychopathic fucking oligarchs who have infiltrated our political system, our financial system, and our government, unfortunately. SpaceX, Palantir, I could fucking go on. This is deeply infiltrated into our government. These small, white, angry little androids who just sell themselves to these oligarchs to be told what to fucking say and are happy to sort of go along with acting, need to be flushed out of American politics and exposed for the treasonous liars that they are. And it's important to emphasize treasonous because what they are doing is intentionally misinforming people at scale.
Yes.
In order to get them to do suicidal shit. That is functionally hurting people, right? So, it's for me, watching all of this go down, it's very, it's good to watch people start to become aware of, wait a minute, Elon Musk this dude, Peter Thiel, and then wait till we get to David Sachs. Oh my God. Oh, we'll land here. What do those three guys have in common other than being in the PayPal mafia?
South Africa.
David, yes.
Apartheid, South Africa.
Oh, well, specifically, yes, they spent some or all, Elon Musk, all of his childhood in South African apartheid in boarding schools, where on the walls was racist, white supremacist propaganda explaining how the white people were better than black people. And that Jews, full on, that's where these people came from. And it is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that they're effectively spouting Nazi mythology, but sort of wrapped up in a bunch of Christian, philosophical bullshit. It's nonsense. It's just a bunch of fascist oligarchs, like we've seen throughout history, trying to lie their way into power at our expense.
This is a perfect.
Stop. There's a lot of, the point being, there's a lot of money still on the table to win at all costs.
Okay, and this is a perfect place for us to run the first Charles Kriel clip, and I'll tell you why. He has a great line in our interview in EP 104 of Radicalized. We're in an era now where we need to make it clear there's no place for racism. He said, we don't need to hear
people, but you have to de-radicalize them one person at a time. And de-radicalization requires listening to people's grievances, understanding what they think is unfair, hearing what they're angry about, hearing who they're angry about, even if it's inappropriate. And I frankly don't have the patience for that myself. I'm much more comfortable in the role of saying, y'all should do this. I don't want, it's the same reason I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not sure that I could sit and listen to someone's problems for an hour, 8 hours a day. But it is indeed what needs to happen. We do need to hear people's grievances up to a point. The limit on that is we don't need to hear their racism, and we don't need to hear their misogyny, and we don't need to hear their homophobia, and we shouldn't provide an environment where that can be aired. And I think we should make it clear that you can't speak that way.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. It's the racism is coded, right? It's the DEI, right? Everybody on the right is freaking out about Kamala's a DEI hire. Right, and that's just coded racism. That's all that fucking is.
It's not even.
You don't
coded,
like the
right?
fact a black woman has the job.
It's not even coded. They are literally saying out loud they are against diversity, they're against equality, and they are against inclusion. Right. That's the thing. What they're doing is, it's coded in the sense that there are 3 letters that they have created a meme for their racism, right? They did this not that long ago with CRT.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty fucking boring that they, just pick 3 other letters. But I will bring up once again, and speaking of Peter Thiel, that the DEI, CRT, Disney groomers, and then going back to broken windows and welfare queens and the bell curve all comes from the same fucking racist propaganda operation that Peter Thiel spent a lot of time networking in. That's how he got the Clearview AI built with Nazis is at the Manhattan Institute. There's this strain of sort of anti-communist, which really means crypto-Nazi like sentiment, has been around for a long time, and DI is coming out of one of the primary propaganda factories for those memes over the years. Again, starting with welfare queens. If anybody was around in the fucking 80s, you remember the welfare queens. It was that was barely coded racist, right? Barely fucking coded. And it's the same with all of these things. They're just ways of saying, I'm a racist and you should be a racist too, without saying those words.
Yeah, I need to talk about something that is in our sweet spot, and that is how we strategically deal with information warfare, which, as we know, is war, and which, as we know, sways the outcome of elections. Just for our friends to be reminded, Charles Kriel and his wife Kat Gellin directed two of the most important films on the subject of disinformation: Cambridge Analytica, privacy. Exploitation of our no privacy laws for our data, and I just think it's incredibly important that we learn from 8 years ago and where we failed. And I don't like that I'm already seeing a back-footed response to the attacks of Kamala, not necessarily even coming from her, but coming from those around her. When narrative warfare is launched on a very brilliant, strong, decent, fierce candidate who's very ready for the job and has already proven that, and the narrative warfare has everybody defending her. That's like you want to defend her. You want to say, oh, you don't have to be or whatever it is, fuck that. No, every time you start to engage in their lies, that lie then enters the mainstream debate. No, fuck it. We got to stay on offense. We got to continually go on offense against Trump and those who are propping him up. And we have so much in our arsenal. As Hi-Fi will say, yeah, but Trump's a rapist who attempted a coup. Like, yeah, but Trump's a rapist who attempted a coup. We have so much in our arsenal. And I don't want to be playing fucking whack-a-mole with all of their fucking dark fairy tales.
Yes. Yes. Mostly yes. Almost entirely yes. But I also think that as Americans right now in this moment, we also have to, and I, literally say, shields up, because we're gonna have to defend these narratives, and the way we don't do that is, I think what you're suggesting is by defending her against it. Oh no, she's not. That is not what you do.
That's it.
But hijacking and diverting and mocking and obliterating those narratives are absolutely what needs to be done. And even more than that, we need to be her sort of guard, out there online, because it's a big fucking internet, and I think there's not a lot of people who really understand a lot of those dark corners, and so I think a lot of us out here need to be extremely vigilant, keep our head on a swivel all the way through the inauguration, because it's not going to stop after the election, and get this done.
Yeah.
But again, the good news is, every single time I look up on TV, VP Harris calls on Israel to accept ceasefire deal.
Right?
She's
just badass.
She's just saying the things that need to be said. And again, like, it's not just rhetoric to say it's a prosecutor versus a criminal, right?
That's real.
The problem that I've had for the last 3.5 years, as much as I love Joe Biden, his administration has failed on several fucking fronts, including bringing accountability to the people who did January 6th, and are planning another one. And there's going to be a fucking prosecutor in the White House who, in my view, is not going to let the Department of Justice and the FBI and these agencies get away with being feckless and incompetent anymore. So, in some ways we have to kind of fill in the gap. to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. High five.
Kamala does seem to get it too. Like she's made
does.
commentary about how could Trump allow Flynn into the White House and
Yeah.
quite a number of things, including the fact that Donald Trump is a rapist who attempted a coup. It's very
So-
fucking
No,
simple.
she literally said in March of 2017, Mike Flynn, just because you got fired doesn't mean we forgot about all your ties to Russia.
Yeah. Right.
That's
Yeah.
what she said out loud.
Yeah.
In the Senate Intelligence Committee. So
Yeah. Let's put that out.
she knows, as Flynn always says, quoting Q, where the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
Flynn.
Yeah. There's a bunch of little traitors who should be a little bit worried. So I knew I was going to vote for Joe Biden in 2017 only because I figured that he would be the most logical Band-Aid really on what had just happened to our country. And then when Kamala threw in, I was all on Team Kamala. And then when it was clear she wasn't going to, continue, I went back and threw all the way in on Joe Biden. And when Joe Biden said he's out and back Kamala, I'm all in. And I expect everybody who gives a shit about democracy and is anti-fascist to do the same. And it's an easy ask because there's, we've said this before. I mean, the most qualified candidates for president in our lifetime have been Hillary Clinton and now Kamala Harris. So,
I mean, look, Joe Biden knew he was 77 years old when he went into the White House.
Yeah.
The first time. He knew that, and he knew how important it was who he picked, right?
Yeah.
He knew. And, and he picked wisely, really wisely.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting chills.
And then he did the absolute right thing. And as anybody's followed me know, I defended him as I think anybody should have, frankly, during that time from a bunch of smear attacks that were unhelpful.
Yeah, it was gnarly. It was awful.
But he, he did the right thing for the country. And I think, it's going to be a historic thing.
Well, I don't smoke opium, but I was driving along the beach.
Me neither.
I don't smoke opium, and I was driving along the beach the other day, and Hi-Fi got my head straight. He got me to move past my anger of how things went down and just think strategically and jump all in, and I did. And as I was looking at that ocean for one fleeting moment, I allowed myself to believe that Kamala Harris really was going to be our next president. And it kind of was like such a fucking moment because it's like it washes away a lot of the pain and the injustice of the last 8 years, if that's what comes of all of this. And that's a beautiful thing. And as I said from the beginning, we have 102 days. What is your plan? I know what my plan is, and these guys have their plans, but everybody needs a battle plan on what they're going to do to ensure that Kamala wins in November and down ballot Democrats as well, and that we defeat this fascist insurgency in America, as Dr. Kriel said, trying to put a reality TV, guy in and install him as dictator into our country. Fuck that.
One thing, a little bit of advice I have for people is take a picture of how you feel in this moment, because 102 days is a long fucking time for them to do a lot of very crazy, stupid shit.
I know.
And it's going to be dark, and there's going to be all kinds of God knows what. So just, and over the years, I've sort of, in moments of feeling very good about things, tried to take a second to remember that. Yeah. Because when shit gets dark, you're going to need something like that, a memory to go back to say, okay, let's refocus. We know what this is, what it really feels like. Let's not let them tell us how to feel. anyway, that's something.
Thank you for that. One of the things I did immediately, and again, I'm grateful to you guys because I got people I can call when I feel weak and scared, and I can call you guys and get back in warrior mode pretty quickly. One of the first things I did, I think Sunday when the news came down, was repost my part 1 of my 2016 election series to show how misogyny was weaponized to defeat Hillary Clinton. And then quickly I posted part 2, which showed how racism, as created by the St. Petersburg troll factory with fake accounts by desk jobs in St. Petersburg, how racism was used against the Democratic candidate in 2016. And I think having tools like that, where we actually can see, oh yeah, that's right, this fishy Instagram account over here, probably not even fucking real. So I'd like people to be on alert as much as possible, because as Jim was saying, there's going to be a deluge of fuckery, both on the virtual battlefield and in real life. And we have to, I grew 4 layers of skin in 2018 and I still have them. And I know I'm going to need them.
Can I just bring up a little something? We know the fuckery is going to happen, right? And here's the thing. We know the network that's going to perpetrate the fuckery. We already have seen it, right? We've pointed it out. I mean, we go back to 2016 and Pizzagate, and look what pops up here real fast. Oh, gee, JD Vance wrote a burn for Jack Posobiec's book.
Wow.
In which he refers to liberals as unhumans.
Wow.
Like literal genocide discussion.
Wow. Thanks for
So
that.
what the fuck are we doing?
That's
let me talk about that for a second, because Unhumans is the title of the book, and so Jack Posobiec is Flynn's mini-me. Posobiec worked at DIA under Flynn, literally at fucking Gitmo, and so Posobiec's book is called Unhumans, and it's about the communist takeover of America by globalists. Now, and this is something Flynn has been echoing all the time. Very important to understand. That is Hitler's myth. That's Hitler's myth that toppled Weimar.
Wow.
That there was a race of unhumans who were Jewish and communist. There was a conspiracy between Jews and communists, the Jewish Bolsheviks, to take over Weimar Germany. And that was the legend, the stab in the back legend that Hitler used to gain power. And so when J.D. Vance writes the foreword to this book, he is promoting literal Nazism. I mean, that book, there's no other interpretation of it. It is simply a Nazi talking about reasons to be a Nazi and be comfortable with genocide. That is the fucking point of it. Oh, guess who else blurbed it? Michael T. Flynn.
I was going to say,
he couldn't believe it. There's an entire chapter about 5th generation warfare. No way.
He's available.
5th generation warfare, if you don't know, is Mike Flynn's euphemism for psychological warfare against his fellow American citizens.
Yeah.
I keep saying this. The network between Trump and Thiel and Flynn, it's all very, very fluid. It's all the same people doing the same shit, and they reconfigure themselves and they start new nonprofits and they have different shit, but it's all the same thing. And there's nothing neo about these Nazis. They're literally fucking Nazis.
I'm I am tweeting some of the things that I mentioned earlier, and I'm just laughing. You know, people are like looking at, you know, Tom Fitton going, what is this? What is this guy even doing? What are these weirdos even doing? And it's like, you guys look at RadPod's archives for the last 3 years. We'll tell you what these people are doing. They're literally doing whatever, you know, the Putinists in America do. One thing I want to talk about before we show the next clip by Dr. Kriel is I interviewed our friend Dietmar from Vienna, again, disinformation analyst. We talked about how the Kremlin has weaponized the peace movement, funded a lot of the peace movements. It's all been to push this disarmament narrative, you know, for the West, while, you know, the Soviets and now Russians, you know, continue to have their arms and then are able to still go in and invade whatever countries they want. And it's a really good thing. It's a really good listen. But he talks about one of the things that we don't talk about enough, and it's because we don't have the ability to know what our intelligence agencies know. But so many of these people that we've seen flip, who've been anti-Trump and suddenly they're pro-Trump, or they're, you know, anti-Putin and suddenly they're pro-Putin. One of the things I don't think we talk about enough is compromat. I think a lot of these people just got, you know, caught doing really shitty, evil, criminal things, and suddenly they're, you know, pro-Putin, anti-Ukraine. They love Trump, and I just bring that up for what it's worth because it's something that Dietmar mentioned, and I often think about people who take contracts to hurt other people. Why do they do that? Some of them are nihilists and don't give a shit, and some of them are actually caught up in some really bad things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are multiple indications, you know, for example, that Mr. Elmo was tied up with some Epstein shit.
Yeah.
Not to mention, you know, Trump and the absolutely vile, sick shit that, you know, has been revealed. These people have a lot to worry about. They have a lot to cover up. They have a lot to, you know, blow smoke about, and a lot of reasons to want Donald Trump, you know, in power, as opposed to, say, the fucking prosecutor who doesn't give a shit about their feelings.
Thank you.
They have a lot to fucking answer for. Illegal use of data, use of health data, mental health data. You know, Alexander Nix testified to the committee that no, we don't use, you know, private data like health data, financial data, you know, things like that. Except, you know, we come to find out they're using people's grief status, and if you're ever at a more mentally and emotionally vulnerable point, it's when you're grieving the death of a loved one, right? Like,
Wow.
it's obvious these people have abused, well, in my opinion, these people built the tools they did not to benefit society, but to undermine, subvert, and eventually destroy it. Right? I believe that they were always this way. And if you look into their history, I mean, if you read the book Chafee wrote about Thiel, like, it exposes him as a sociopath at a young age. When you're driving like a maniac with other people in the car, and like, yeah, it just shows.
Well, I mean, there's
really
also him growing up with a Nazi father.
Yeah, that probably had a lot to do with it too.
I mean,
well,
if you want to go back, you know, and then growing up in apartheid, and, you know, meeting up with these other apartheid guys, and then going on a very long journey. The thing you need to know about Peter Thiel, and if you just you can just have this concept in your mind and then go look into it. Peter Thiel has set up his entire universe and set up a lot of other people's universes based on profiting from suffering and death.
Yeah. Right.
He believes, because of his philosophy and his ideology, that America is destined, that the world is destined for this huge cataclysm of violence. And so he's literally set up companies like Palantir and worked with idiots like Palmer Luckey and the Mercers and Bannon and all these fucking people for years and years, literally setting up an entire network that profits from crime, profits from war, profits from suffering, profits from death. That's why he's got all these contracts with law enforcement and the Defense Department, because he's made tools for them that allows him to gather everybody's data and affect things, because he's got more information on all of us than anyone on the fucking planet. That's why he's got Clearview, which is facial recognition. So he can, have a database of everybody's goddamn face, right? That's why he gave Mark Zuckerberg the first $500,000 for Facebook and then brought in a bunch of Russian money to prop that fucking thing up. And what did it do? What did we find out? Very simple. It was designed for radicalization.
Yeah, right.
There's an algorithm, and the algorithm says the more angry you get, the more radicalized you get, the more cookies you get, the more hearts you get, the more good feelings you get at the same time you're being radicalized. This is a very, very vicious and intentional operation in order to gather intelligence on people and then weaponize it, because Peter Thiel does not believe democracy and freedom are incompatible.
Yeah, right.
Are compatible. Look at his history. The last thing, what's part of the reason why he thinks that freedom and democracy are not compatible? Because women got the franchise. Now, if you listen to J.D. Vance recently, he said that childless women don't have a stake in democracy, that cat ladies and childless women have no stake in America, that they should be penalized in the vote. And it goes back to all the same idea, which is that a bunch of aggrieved white boys with too much fucking money think that they're going to play God with us. And
I got to tell you, I'm not quite ready to have to engage in the whole burn the witch, narratives for the next 100 days. But that's what we're going to have to do. As Jim just described, the misogyny will be cranked up to 11 full time.
It is Salem witch trials again, man. It will be
all over again. So it's going to be burn the witch 24/7, because that's all they have. And that is why I want to go on offense. Hold on, hi-fi. Back to Thiel. When I wrote about him, I too am raised by German parents. I grew up on a block of kids who are raised by German parents. I know the type of dad that's been described, like in Chafkin's book. And yet the people I know who grew up under that kind of authoritarian father did not turn out to be sociopathic Nazis. So he's a grown-ass man who does not have to be like that. And he's not going to like it. One of the things I really got to say that I do like is, because people are suddenly really aware of Thiel and aware of Musk, they're not going to like falling from the phony, perches that they have been on. They're not going to like it. And I do believe we are going to see the evil people turn inward and devour each other. And as Jim said, will it happen quickly enough? I don't know. But if they actually do pull Vance, that'll be a very good sign. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, in some ways, I hope they keep him, because he's
he's not an asset. Yeah.
But on the other hand, and if Trump manages somehow to weasel his way into victory, Trump is not going to last.
No.
Be very fucking
clearly.
That dude is on his last journey here, and JD Vance, a 39-year-old who changed his mind about being gay and changed his mind about being an atheist, and also invested with Peter Thiel in Rumble, by the way.
Oh yeah, how could we forget? Yeah.
Will be the fucking president, the most powerful person in the world with the nuclear codes. That little fucking fuzzy, that guy will be the president of the United States within the first year. If it doesn't happen like after the election, I mean, like, Trump is absolutely just a martyr. He's a figurehead. He's just being leveraged for his cult value. He's got nothing else going here.
No.
And so if whoever is in the VP spot will be the president if he wins. And, you know, so yes, I want him in there because oh my God, everyone fucking hates his guts. But there's a reason for that, because he is a sociopath who does not give a shit about other human beings and will absolutely do whatever the Nazis that are programming him tell him.
I have been enjoying all of the couch jokes. That's been very well played. Let's see another clip from Kriel. I want to get through, and we have 3 more. Let's do number 2.
Narrative, which I have always thought was about Kamala, and it was about Democratic donors thinking that American voters would not elect a Black woman president, and specifically Kamala Harris president. And so they didn't want to bring Biden down. They wanted to bring down the whole ticket. I'm not the only person who thinks that. I think AOC thought that as well. But although she didn't state it so directly, but she took an hour to say what she had to say. But people seem to be lining up behind her. And if they're lining up behind her, it's terrific, because the main issue on the table right now is authoritarian fascism. You know, this isn't friendly fascism anymore. This is outright fascism that we're dealing with now. And sitting here in Europe, where we're all in danger of becoming frontline states. I mean, we're all frontline states in the information war, but we're in danger of becoming other kinds of frontline states. It's incredibly important that Trump not be elected, that NATO not be weakened, that there's not a military alliance between the United States, Russia, and China, that we not throw out what has been set up for a very long time, so that we can make a game show host a dictator over a country.
Can you this might be a good time after that very true and dark assessment for my meme, because he's talking about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hold on. I got to figure out how to do it now, because I'm very smart. Here we go. Ready? Uh-oh.
That she's so brave. She's the savior of our country. That she's so brave. I've never seen a turnaround like this. Isn't it amazing? Look at her. She's so beautiful. She's so magnificent. Oh, her crowd was amazing. It was amazing. You see it? She's got such momentum. She's the
He's so jealous. He's so jelly.
He's so jealous, and
jealous.
If people don't know, that song is by Charlie XCX. It's Brat Summer, if you didn't know, and that song is called Coconut. No, it's called Brat actually, but the chorus is Coconut. And so I did that little meme, and went a little bit bonkers, and I was kind of excited about it. I even put it on TikTok.
Nice.
This is, as I said to my friend Jay Rance, shooting fish in a barrel, right? Yeah. Like that took me 4 minutes, from front to back, 4 minutes, and I did another one about Camelot, which was the same, and we can all just sort of take advantage of this situation. Use whatever your creativity is, whatever your knowledge is or isn't. It doesn't even matter. We're in a very clear fight, and I think all of us should be able to kind of do our part. You know, even if you're not some big digital warrior or whatever, we can all do our thing, make memes, have fun, keep this energy going.
I love it. Yeah. Hi-Fi, what do you think? Clip 3?
Stopped and said, you know, the disapproval of Brexit has just gone straight up, which seems to me the perfect example of what happens when psyops wear off. Right? So I just wanted to get your feeling about, you know, that, whether that seems like a correct assessment, and how that relates to the current campaign.
I think psyops have worn off, but also reality has kicked in here in the UK, and
more or less the same thing.
Yeah, we know. I mean, we can feel the damage that Brexit has done. We can feel it in every aspect of society here.
It's funny how when the psyops wear off, there's always a hangover, right?
Oh, yeah.
When people realize they've been had, and that's the really, if people would just start calling it out in mass, like, yeah, that's a psyop, yeah, that's a psyop, yeah, that's bullshit, yeah, look at that, that's, oh, look, there's Jack Posobiec trying to pimp a reprint of J.D. Vance's book. Like, it's blatant at this point. All you have to do is call out, it's the same people doing the same bullshit over and over and over. And, oh, by the way, Donald Trump is a rapist who attempted a coup. It's not fucking hard, people.
While I was spilling tea on my shirt during the break, can you fill people in on the sofa couch memes origins? Because they've been hilarious, and they show that the pro-democracy side does actually know how to use narrative warfare when they want to.
So there is a story out, and you know the veracity of the story is up in the air.
And that's never mattered.
That's never really mattered in narrative warfare. Sometimes you just lob the grenade because it's a grenade. But the story is that J.D. Vance, as a young man, got amorous and, you know, turned a couch into a love seat, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
So
that would explain, because I mean, there have been like some Barry White memes, you know.
Actually, the Barry White ones were really good. I actually
really
quite
good.
Enjoyed those. Yeah, it's J.D. Vance. Okay, look. If I was Donald Trump, I'd be pissed. We know that Russia is frowning at the pick of J.D. Vance. Like, he started like, all right, J.D. Vance is in the VP. This is going to be great. And then when he saw how America reacted, right, just across the board, he's like, ooh. And then the propaganda started bad-mouthing J.D. Vance in Russia.
Yeah.
And you know that Trump's going to hear that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, J.D. Vance is attached to Peter Thiel, and we know that Peter Thiel helped build the infrastructure that allows young men to be radicalized online.
Well,
right?
let's pause there for a second, because we can't assume people understand when we say things like, well, you know that J.D. Vance and Thiel are behind Rumble, what that actually means. And Jim, you're laughing at something right now, but it would be real. Are you looking for a meme?
I found it. It's in the waiting area. It's my favorite.
All right, here's the meme.
Oh my God, I have not seen that one. Oh.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is mimetic warfare at its finest.
Oh my God.
That is how you fucking do it. That is how you do it. And
Bingo.
look, it doesn't fucking matter if you fucking.
Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, exactly. When we're trying to stop the clown car that has the trailer that's containing fascism. So we got a few minutes left. Why don't we show the final Dr. Charles Kriel clip? We ask you guys not only to watch RadPod's latest episode, take a look at our archives. If you can, support our Patreon. We make very little, but we actually do have some bills we need to pay. So if you can help become a Patreon, that would mean a lot to us. You'll find the links on Twitter and on YouTube.
And here's number 4.
Smash the like button.
By Russian interference, by interference from Cambridge Analytica as well, that moved things in that direction. And that's how I started working on this whole thing, was seeing the patterns in Brexit and the way that was working. But it also happened, and the racism happened that brought on Brexit because of Russian-sponsored the Russian-sponsored refugee crisis. By creating instability in Africa and the Middle East, refugees have come over the borders into Europe in droves and into the UK. And this is a method for Russia to create instability and to magnify hatreds that already exist across Europe. And it's paying off well for them. It is. And I don't know how you can watch the clown show that we all saw last week, which unfortunately also happens to have a trailer attached to the clown car that carries fascism. And not think that we just have an awful lot of work to do when it comes to building resilience against disinformation and authoritarianism. We have to do whatever it takes, all working together. Put aside whatever our ideologies are, put aside whatever our irritations are. We need to absolutely ensure that Trump and the authoritarians do not win and that Ukraine does not lose.
And that Ukraine does not lose.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
All roads lead to Moscow.
Do not take our foot off Putin's neck.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Wow. I don't know. I mean, that's I chose that as the final clip for a reason.
So I got nothing else other than as I've said before. Look, this is it. There has never been a more important 100 days in American history. And again, I urge all my liberal and democratic friends, all my people of empathy who care about other human beings, don't give that up. On the other hand, no fucking mercy.
Yeah, right.
We cannot do what we always do, which is find a way to pull defeat out of the jaws of victory. We must
fucking
find ourselves in a circular firing squad over some bullshit somebody on the other side said. We cannot listen to the feckless hacks in the corporate media who are going to find God knows what to make controversies out of. Do not fall for it. There's a very simple thing that we have to do, which is get her elected. There are a lot of moving parts. Voting is the first thing that you have to do, but it is hardly the last. So let's fucking go.
When I talked about having a battle plan, whatever your battle plan is, execute it. We are going to war. When you get the text messages saying, are you willing to check all the boxes? I did. I'm willing to do it all. You need phone banks, you need events, whatever you need. I've run campaigns before. I understand that we are going to war. High fidelity.
So, I'm a tech guy and I like building a network. And the way you build a network is you plug cables in to different things. And what we really need to do is build a nationwide network of people who are going to vote for Kamala Harris So a little challenge for our audience this evening. If you're out there listening, I'd like you to take 5, and that means call 5 people that you know in your contact list and be like, hey, are you going to go vote? I need you to vote. All right. Just take 5. Build your network. Ask them to do the same thing. It's not freaking hard. 2, 3, whatever number. Just reach out to somebody and freaking plug in.
Yeah, and also make sure that you are registered and you are on the voter rolls, because there's going to be a lot of fuckery going on. I was purged from my voter roll, which shocked me, and I was able to vote, same day. I usually vote by mail, but I worked it out. Do whatever you need to do. And as Jim said, this is no longer politics, okay? When I say we're going to war, we've been at war for a decade.
Also, I want to point out, logically, not in our comments, said something very important. It's not actually 100 days. It's 56 days until early voting.
Yeah.
That is really important. We have to lock our votes in right away, because they're going to pull all kinds of crazy shit.
That's right.
And the most important thing we can do is get our votes in early, lock them in. Don't leave anything to chance. Get it in the mail, and take it out of their hands.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
All right. Final words tonight. I'm gonna give it to the Marsh family from the UK because it's fucking great.
Yeah.
Sidekick, kissing Donald's ring, looks like you'd do anything. Lots of money behind that guy, pretty young and the beat is fly. Sees the stakes and abuse it, January 6th was fine, it's just a move for Vance.
And if he gets the chance,
he'll be the Vance VP. One heartbeat from autocracy. Cash machine, feeding votes to the tangerine. Oh yeah. He'll advance climate change. Let Putin conquer Ukraine. Who's to the world? GOP chasing a fantasy. Chameleon, social media posts have gone. Atheist to a Catholic, names he's had a few, doesn't like immigrants unless they help finance.